Right, gentlemen, morning. Today we're going to be looking at Hamlet, your set work of Shakespeare, and we're going to be reviewing some of the key aspects of the play. And just a little bit of background. Hamlet was, by the year 1601, is up there clearly that Hamlet is one of the most famous of the tragedies. And it's certainly, Hamlet was the one that, sorry, what's going on? This. Okay, there we go. Technological issues. It belongs with Othello, Lear, and Macbeth as one of the greatest tragedies in world literature. And a lot of people actually think it's probably one of the most famous tragedies of all. But before we get on to that, it's really important to understand what the elements of a tragedy are. And some of your teachers may well have gone over that with you. And we'll just focus on those now. So if you look down the left-hand side of the column there, and as I say, you'll be given these elements of a tragic hero, and then it explains what they mean by a tragic hero. All right? So a main character cursed by fate and possessed of a tragic flaw. And we'll talk later on about what are these flaws that Hamlet has. A struggle between good and evil. You have Hamlet supposedly representing good and Claudius representing evil. Internal conflict. The conflict is a moral dilemma. Do I kill Claudius or do I not? The procrastination that goes on. The catharsis. What do we understand by catharsis? I know there's a bit of a definition. Anybody know? Basically, when everything gets sorted out in the end, you feel better afterwards. You know what happens at the end. You have a lot of bodies lying all over the stage, and certain people meet their comeuppance. Supernatural elements. What are we talking about there? The ghost of Hamlet's father. Lack of poetic justice. What do I mean by that? Things end poorly for everyone, including the good guys. However, Claudius does get his just desert, eventually. Comic relief is a phenomenon associated with tragedy. You can't just be sitting there the whole time being stressed out. So the grave diggers, for example, are humorous, and parts of the play within the play would also be regarded as being a bit more light-hearted. So when we're looking at the play, it's very important. The play doesn't exist without the characters. All right? So it's important that you know your characters really well. Obviously, the play is about Hamlet, so you should know Hamlet, first of all. And who is Hamlet? All right? Really simple, basic question. But how does he fit into the play? All right? He's the son of the late king and nephew to the current king, Claudius. Polonius is the principal secretary of the state. He's the father of Laertes and Ophelia and the chief counselor to Claudius. So Claudius listens to him a lot. He gives Claudius lots of advice. Laertes obviously is Polonius' son, sister of Ophelia, and Ophelia's daughter of Polonius, and in love with Hamlet. Right, that's very clear, and it's very tragic what happens to her as well in the course of the play. And then, of course, Claudius is the king of Denmark, uncle to Hamlet, and brother to the deceased king who married Gertrude. He would be regarded as the villain of the piece. All right? Did you guys do Macbeth previously? Have you done Macbeth? Right, so you know you got Macbeth is also a tragic hero. All right? And ultimately, he was the villain of the piece, really. But he was driven by his wife, Lady Macbeth. Yes?
So isn't Nancy's Ophia's marriage?
Yes. What does it say there? Oh, apologies, that's wrong. Yeah. Well done. Did a merit at the end of the lesson. And then, of course, Gertrude. Someone's reading the notes, it's good. And of course, Gertrude is the queen mother to Hamlet. So the themes of the play are really important, and you would have looked at some of these, I'm sure, in your class situation. So I'm just going to focus on a number of them. Obviously, one of the main ones is procrastination. And basically what procrastination means is what? No, man?
So you'll do something, but don't do it later.
Do it later. You delay. Hamlet is notorious for procrastinating. I'll put things off. I'll do it later. Actually, maybe some of you sitting here are quite good at putting things off as well. I'll study tomorrow, not today. I'll think about it tomorrow. I'm relaxing. So basically, what does he procrastinate about? Anybody? What does he procrastinate about? Killing Claudius. All right? He's got enough motivation to kill Claudius. There's no doubt about it. He's been given the proof, etc. But he's worried about what will happen. There's a very strict religious theme here, and hence the good v evil scenario. All right? Will he go to hell or will he go to heaven? All right? So procrastination. Revenge. Now, there are a number of instances of revenge in the play. In fact, at least 3 main revenge plots. And when we consider them, we look at obviously Hamlet avenging the death of his father in the first instance. Laertes, what does he want to do? Whose death does he want to avenge? His father, Polonius. Good. And then there's one more. Anyone know which one that is? Prince Fortinbras. All right? Okay, he wants to reclaim his father's land. And in fact, there's a 4th one, the play within the play. But don't worry too much about that. So we've got revenge. Then we've got madness. Now, there are arguments to and fro around madness. Was Hamlet really mad? And I'm going to show you quotes later on which suggest that no, he wasn't mad. He was putting it on. He was pretending so he could be devious and catch people out. But certainly there were elements of that. Ophelia, very sad, tragic end to her life. All right, what happens to Ophelia? She drowns, but there's circumstances around that drowning. Was it deliberate? What actually happened? All right? And so the line between madness and sanity is quite fine, quite close. Then, of course, we've got the theme of suicide, which is debated continually through the course of the play. These are thought processes that Ophelia, Hamlet, and even Horatio consider during the play. And it is shown explicitly through Ophelia when she dies. She accidentally drowns herself. However, it may just be a cover-up to protect the religious stigma associated with taking your own life. One cannot acknowledge the religious Christian background to the play. And of course, Hamlet's famous soliloquy. What is the most famous one? To be or not to be. All right, he debates the whole issue of whether I should carry on or not. And it's a huge issue for him. And then, of course, the whole religious connotation of that. And then the final one, and I'm not sure whether you guys have you touched on appearance of reality. You have. Good. Who can give me an example of appearance and reality in the play? Yeah.
So Hamlet pretends to be mad.
Yeah. Good.
In reality, he isn't.
Very good. So, first of all, you've got Hamlet who appears, the old King Hamlet, who appears to be bitten by a snake. But in fact, what happened to him? He was poisoned. Secondly, the ghost appears to be an apparition, but it's actually not. Thirdly, Claudius appears to be a very kind, caring, loving uncle who really loves his son, his stepson, but we know that's not the case. He's trying to get rid of him. Yep.
So what's an apparition?
Something that looks like it's real, but it's actually not. Okay? All right, moving on. So those are some, I'm going through this quite quickly, guys, because this is obviously a bit of revision. We go into more detail now, and we look at some of the key moments in the plot. And we start with Act 1. Now, as I said, you'll do all of this. When you're writing your essays, which I believe you have to do an essay, all right, either an essay for this or an essay for your novel, you have to substantiate from the text. You can't just make comments and not substantiate. You don't have to quote verbatim what's written up here. but it's good if you can. All right? If you can't quote, then you have to refer to a specific instance. All right? So if you look at that one, Claudius is talking to Hamlet, and he says, think of us as a father, our chiefest courtier cousin, and our son. What are we talking about here? Appearance, reality. He's pretending to be really caring and kind and nice, but we know that he's actually doesn't want to have it around. All right? The ghost says, revenge is foul and most unnatural murder. That is Act 1, Scene 5 already, right at the beginning of the play. We are told it was murder by the ghost. Sorry. Hamlet's problem is, at the beginning, he doesn't know if this ghost is the devil or the truth. He's not sure. Okay, so he's unsure. And then the ghost comes back to him later and says, hey, come on, you're not doing anything here. The word wet, spelled like that, what does that mean? Sharpen. I'm going to sharpen. You wet your knife, you sharpen it. I'm going to sharpen the fact that you need to, hence the word blunted. Wet, blunted. I'm going to sharpen it. You need to get moving. So King Hamlet's death command to Hamlet, and of course the revenge theme. Marcellus, right early on in the play, he's not a very big role, he's an officer, and that's a very well-known quote from the play. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. What does that mean? That's a bit of foreshadowing. He's saying, listen guys, there's something not right here. Something's not right. Okay? So Marcellus speaks the famous line, which is prophetic of an evil lurking in the person of the new King Claudius after witnessing the ghost of Hamlet's father. Hamlet has a real problem with women. Okay? And why? Because his mother remarried so quickly. She didn't grieve long enough. She meant to grieve for many, many months, possibly years, wear black, be somber, sad, melancholic, etc. Within a month, Claudius married his mother. So he's saying, how can you do that? If you really love my father, how can you possibly go marry Claudius? This is insane. So the issue of mother-son relationship, and there's a bit of anger there as well. And that's part of the reason why he treats Ophelia so badly as well, later on. Act 5, 1 Scene 5, a villain smiling, damned villain. He's enraged when he learns a hideous and painful truth from the ghost of his recently deceased father. The late king did not die a natural death, but was murdered by his own brother, the new Claudius. So there's murder, there's the ghost, there's the element of madness, and there's the element of revenge. So when you're talking about this, so you get a question, essay question which talks about revenge themes in the play, then you will refer to specific instances justifying why you say these things. And you are entitled to argue either point. There's no right or wrong answers, but provided you're not totally out on a limb about something crazy, and you can justify it. All right? You can justify your comments. Now, this is a key. Already, Act 1, Scene 5, to put an antic disposition on. What does that mean? I'm going to pretend. I'm not really going to be mad. I'm going to pretend to be mad. There are moments in the play where he does show signs of being a bit off the wall. All right. So that relates to the theme of madness and appearance versus reality. Moving to Act 2. Polonius, do we know who Polonius is? Remember, he's the advisor to the king, and he's continually trying to curry favor with the king. You know what I mean by that? Do things for him, and the king says, Polonius, you're number one. All right? He says there, quote, that he's mad, 'tis true, 'tis pity. He thinks that Hamlet is mad. All right? He really does. Polonius tells the king and queen what they've already begun to believe about Hamlet, that he has gone mad. So really, Act 2, Scene 2 already in the play, people think he's gone mad. And then Hamlet does a lot of philosophizing during the course of the play. It's not sort of talking to himself. What do we call those things when you talk to yourself? Yeah, an internal monologue. Okay, it's the same sort of thing. We as an audience, remember this is a play. This is a play to be performed. So when Hamlet's on the stage talking to himself, he's actually verbalizing his thought process. All right? So what a piece of work is man. After uttering these words, he calls man a quintessence of dust. Right? Nothing. Revealing the true depth of his depression and foreshadowing his suicidal feelings. All right? Madness, suicide. Polonius. Now he's starting to think, Polonius is thinking, hold on a minute. This guy maybe is not as mad as he makes out to be. Though this be madness, yet there is method in it. Right? What does it mean? Polonius whispers this as an aside, referring to Prince Hamlet. Feigning insanity allows Hamlet to say and do things not otherwise acceptable. Right? So notice how the theme of appearance and reality keeps on reoccurring. Revenge, madness. So Hamlet says, well, what am I going to do about this? How am I going to prove that Claudius is actually guilty? Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to present a play within a play. And I'm going to watch Claudius closely, and my mother, because he's not sure whether his mother is totally absolved of any responsibility, and how they react during the course of the play. The play is the thing wherein we'll catch the conscience of the king, assuming, of course, that the king does have a conscience. So the word foreshadowing comes up quite a lot. We, the audience, know, it's also called dramatic irony. We know what's coming up because we're watching. The other characters don't know what's happening. So you're almost like in a melodrama, you'd shout out and warn the victim, watch out, so-and-so is coming for you. That's what they used to interact in the plays in the melodrama. Those of you who do drama might know what I'm talking about. All right, so we're aware of this at this point already. Moving into Act 3, he gets really nasty to Ophelia. What he says to her is the worst possible thing he would say to someone. What's a nunnery?
So it's really like this. Priest.
Sorry?
So they go through church.
Yeah, they go to
So it's where they like go to the last class and take that.
yeah. They take vows that they're only obedient to God. They have no relationship with men. They certainly won't get married. They certainly won't have any sex. They won't do anything like that. All right. So they sign their lives. So he's telling her not only to get out of his life, get off to a nunnery. All right. And of course she is devastated because she's in love with this guy. And what Polonius is telling all the time, you need to listen carefully, is that Hamlet will never marry you. Not in 100 years. Because what? Why won't he marry you? He's of a higher class, so there's no ways. She's a humble daughter of the counselor. No, not going to happen. All right? According to him. So you have what we call unrequited love. What does that mean? Unrequited love, sorry. It basically means it's not being responded. All right? There's no response. Anger, rejection, suicide. This pushes her to do certain things. All right? Hamlet, to sleep, perchance to dream. This part of Hamlet's famous soliloquy, which begins to be or not to be, reveals his thoughts of suicide. To sleep, perchance to dream. He's talking about permanent sleep. All right? Never to wake up again and be at rest and peace. So suicide, death, and dreams. And of course, the most famous soliloquy, to be or not to be, that is the question. These words reflect the state of desperation in which Hamlet, the prince, finds himself as he contemplates suicide. So the key words or themes are tragedy. It's sad. We know what's going to happen. This is the sad thing about a tragedy. It's like when you go and watch a movie. Deadpool 2 now, for example. I've seen Deadpool 1, it's a great movie. And you don't know what's going to happen at the end. All right? You shouldn't really. And so you look forward to watching it. Unfortunately, with a tragedy, you know what's going to happen. This guy's going to die. You're just not too sure how. All right? Macbeth, die. Romeo and Juliet, die. Lear, die. dies. So if it's a tragedy, I'm afraid they're going to die. All right? So Claudius, now he's feeling a bit guilty. He's feeling, well, I don't know. So he gets down to pray. When we think he's praying, but he's actually not praying. He's thinking about praying. And these are his thoughts. Oh, my offense is rank. So what he's done is really terrible. Rank means it smells terrible. My crown, my own ambition, like Macbeth. And guys, you can do that if you want to in your essays. You refer back to other plays if you're really smart. And Macbeth, for example, which you have studied. And my queen. May one be pardoned and retain the offense. In other words, can I be forgiven and still be king? That's a big moral question, isn't it? Very big question. So issues of guilt, conscience, remorse. Remember, he's thinking about. And then he ends off by saying, my words fly up, my thoughts remain below. Now, what does that actually mean? He kneels and he contemplates praying, not so much for forgiveness for his rank offense and killing his brother, but rather that he will get behind, get away with it. All right, so he's saying the words, but within here, it's not really going to happen. He wants to remain king. He doesn't want to give that up. All right, so that's the ambition side of it. There's signs of possible repentance. And of course, what's really key here now is Hamlet sees him and thinks, okay, good, now's the time I can kill him. So and so. All right, but then he gets a bit nervous. We'll talk about it next. How now? A rat. Now, a rat in these terms is associated with someone like really not a nice person. Dead for a ducat. Dead. Ducat was a form of payment in those days. Hamlet slays Polonius, whom he mistakes for the king, hiding behind the arras in Gertrude's room. So there's a noise, and Hamlet thinks, aha, this is Claudius, I'm going to kill him. And he kills the person, and the guy falls out because he's hiding behind like a curtain type thing. So he stabs him through it, and Polonius collapses, and he's, oh my heavens, it's the wrong person. What have I done? This is not good, all right? Because I haven't killed the right person. So eventually he makes a decision, but it's not the right decision. So it's turned out very badly for him. All right. And then again, this whole madness thing. Notice how it's repeated continuously during the course of the play. That I essentially am not in madness, but mad in craft. What he's wanting to do is a bit mad. Right? But he's not inherently, he's not mad. So using madness as a method to fool people as part of his plan. And of course the theme of madness appears, the reality comes up again. As we're moving through the play, we're reading towards a climax, all right? And they call it eventually a denouement, which is the unraveling of the plot. What's going to happen in the end? All right, so we're moving towards, he's killed Polonius, but Polonius is not the right person to have killed. That is the wrong person. He still needs to sort Claudius out. All right? Claudius, on the other hand, is saying, what am I going to do about Hamlet? I need to get Hamlet out of here. I can't have him there, because it's not good for the whole situation. He continues to say, my soul is full of discord and dismay. So he's still thinking, really, I'm not such a good person. Hamlet, have all occasions to inform against me as to why I should be getting on with this and doing something about it. And then he makes a decision, and everybody cheers with joy. Because what does he say? Oh, from this time forth, my thoughts be bloody, or be nothing worth. In other words, I'm going to kill this guy. End of story. Enough mucking around, enough procrastination. It's time for action. I've shown I can do it. I've killed Polonius. Bad luck, he's the wrong person. All right, so then, hold on a minute. Are you thinking clearly? All right. So he's off, and now he's going to sort this out. Theme of action and revenge. And he says, and where the offense is, let the great axe fall. Foreshadowing what's going to happen to Claudius. He's the offense. He killed my father. He's married my mother, he must die. Okay? That's what's going to happen to him. So we're all going, yes, good versus evil, good's going to win. All right? Hopefully. And at the same time, then we go back to that revenge theme. Now, of course, Laertes is the Helen, because Hamlet killed his father. And they remember they were sort of friends. Okay? So he says, no, hold on a minute. I'm going to avenge my father's death. And he shows a total opposite to Hamlet. He's passionate. All right? And he feels so much for his dad. And of course, his sister's passed away already as well. So now he says, okay, I'll be revenged most thoroughly. It's actually truly for my father. Okay, right from here. So revenge theme, there's another example of the revenge theme. And it's still linking with the revenge theme, that I might be the organ. In other words, I'm the person that's going to go and do it. I'm not going to get someone else to go and do it, like in Macbeth. Right? I'm going to do it myself, because that's the honorable thing to do. And I don't care if he's on his knees praying to God for forgiveness, I will slit his throat in the church, which is wrong. You can imagine the times. Christianity, you don't do that. You wait till they walk out the church and then you kill them. All right? But not. And why is that, guys? Why do you think? I'll sort of answer that question earlier on. But why do you think, if look, bearing in mind the Christian background to this, if Laertes slit Claudius's throat in the church, what do you think might happen from a religious perspective?
So Claudius would have gone to heaven.
That's what they think will happen, okay? That's why they don't want. That's why Hamlet doesn't want to do that. He says, why does this guy go to heaven? He must go to hell. He's murdered my father. He must go to hell. All right? Whereas Laertes says, it shows a contrast. You can draw a contrast between the two characters if you discuss a theme of revenge. And you can say, oh, Hamlet takes 5 acts before he does anything. Actually, not true. He kills the wrong guy. But Laertes, straight away, look, I'm going to sort this out. I'm not going to muck around. Now we're moving into the final act. And at this point only, does Hamlet actually reveal how much, and you might say that's a euphemism, all right, not a euphemism, hyperbole, 40,000 brothers. Okay, that's how much he loved. Right, he's saying to Laertes, I love her more than you love. There's a different sort of love, I hope. All right? Love for your sister and your love for your girlfriend. I love Ophelia. 40,000 brothers could not, with all their quantity of love, make up my son. That's a lot of love, all right? But that's the first time that he really acknowledges that he loved. So imagine this turmoil that's going through him. Because of his aggressiveness, his disgust of what his mother has done, he now takes it out on his girlfriend. He loves him so dearly, and she got and committed suicide, drowned. So now he's without his beloved Ophelia as well. And then finally, one of the last lines, or the last parts, key parts, is where Laertes actually blames the king. He actually says, well, it's the king. He's the one. He's the cause of everything. Right? He caused all this, and he needs to get his comeuppance. All right? The king's to blame. The whole aspect of guilt and justice. And if you go back to the whole cycle of tragedy, is that at the end, there's all this tension, there's this conflict, there are these issues, and at the end, they all get resolved. And in most instances, not necessarily in Othello. Any of you know Othello? Othello's a little bit different. Around Iago. Whether Iago actually dies in the end or not is debatable. And the suggestion around that is that evil continues. Evil manifests itself through people. Whereas here, in this instance, we have a lot of dead bodies lying on the stage at the end of the play. And you can say, well, justice has been served. Claudius has finally got his comeuppance. Unfortunately, Gertrude also dies. Laertes dies. All right. Polonius is dead already. Ophelia is dead. Plus the king of Hamlet is dead as well. So it's pretty tragic. It's very sad. But it hasn't been left up in the air. There has been finalization. So wrap him up. if you like, of the whole scenario. Now, obviously, that's a lot of information that we've gone through there, but it's just a recap of some of the key moments. And as I said, this will all be available to you. What you need to be aware of moving forward as you prepare for your exams is when you are presented with a question, and I've got a couple of questions here that I've circulated to your teachers, which you might look at, is to first of all analyze the question very carefully. You know exactly what it is that you're expected to do. It sounds a stupid thing to say, but when you read through it, highlight the key word. If it's about revenge, highlight revenge. If it's about madness, highlight madness. If it's about appearance versus reality, highlight it. If it's which characters are mentioned, highlight those characters. All right? So that's the first thing. You have to know the plot. It's taken as a given. You know what the plot is? The storyline. You have to know what happens in the play. You can't get confused. All right? So you need to know the plot. It's taken as a given. You're not going to be asked the question, tell us what happens to Hamlet at the end of the play. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to do that. So you need to know the plot. You need to know your characters. All right? So you need to know Hamlet. You need to know Claudius. You need to know Gertrude, Ophelia, and know what the main role in the play is. And you need to know 2 or 3 themes. I've given you 5 there, I think. You need to know at least 2. Madness is an obvious one. Revenge is an obvious one, easy to write about. And also appearance versus reality is happening all the time through the course of the play. And then you need to just do a mind map or however you prepare, but you need to spend 5 or 10 minutes just doing that. Organizing how you're going to argue this point. And then looking for examples of quotes or specific instances within the play that you can use in your argument. All right? That's really, really important. And then you're pulling that all together, and ultimately you're going to write your response. Okay, that's really important. As I said, there are a couple of questions that I've put out to your teachers that you can look at. I'm sure they've got their own as well. As I said, I've gone through that really quickly. Are there any questions anybody would like to ask at this time? We've got a few minutes left. Any questions about any aspect of it? It's not a difficult play. All right, it's long, but it's not a difficult play to understand. All right. And you know what? You think about it, and you think about Hamlet. You say, but sir, this play could have all been over. If Laertes was Hamlet, the play would have been finished in Act 1 of it. You're right. I mean, we had a very short play. Okay? But it's the nature of Shakespeare and the ability that all these issues that these characters are dealing with, and I'm sure your teachers have said this to you, is relevant today. Every single one of those. All right? You think about in your own situation, your friends, family, etc. These things are all happening today.